So this guy and his cat have been popping up so much for me lately, and I had no idea what their deal was. The term LitRPGs had also been popping up alongside them, and I'd never heard of that. RPGs I've heard of, that I am very familiar with, but LitRPGs, never heard of it, and it got me really curious. And I figured I couldn't be the only one that hadn't heard of it before, so I did some digging for us. So today I'm going to break down what LitRPGs are so that you can decide if it's something that you'd be interested in, and I'm also going to give you a couple of places that you might be able to start with in case you want to have a crack, because honestly, I do not know how I have missed this hidden gem of fantasy. So what's it all about? LitRPGs stand for literary role-playing game, and the community behind it is pretty passionate about this subgenre of science fiction and fantasy. So today, when I inevitably make a mistake, please feel free to correct me down below in the comments. LitRPGs are stories that follow a character or characters and incorporate various elements of role-playing games. Think things like Final Fantasy, Dungeons and Dragons, or World of Warcraft. These games follow certain patterns. The player character follows rules and mechanics of the game. They usually have races or classes, they gain experience, they level up, they have to achieve quests or achievements. They usually have a set of skills or abilities that help them navigate the world that they are in. For example, Baldur's Gate 3 is an RPG where you create a character that has different stats and abilities and then play through a story facing different challenges like puzzles or fighting different monsters while you gain experience, level up, and gain different types of items to help you develop and progress through the story. This is in essence what LitRPGs are. In some ways, they are the classic trope of trapped inside a video game, and in some cases, they're just inspired by role-playing games. The characters in the story follow the rules of the world, but things like encounters, stats, leveling up, achievements, quests that they have to achieve are all very visible to the reader, and they play an essential part in telling the actual story. To give you an idea of what this actually looks like when you're reading the text, I'm going to read you an extract from a very popular lit RPG, Dungeon Crawler Carl. More text assaulted me. You have been designated crawler number 4122. You have been assigned the crawler name Carl. You are assigned the race Human. You are currently level 1. You may choose a new race and class as soon as you descend to the 3rd floor. Your stat points have been assigned based on your current physical and mental profile. See the stat menu for more details. Menu? I wonder how to pull up a menu. There does seem to be other subgenres inside this subgenre of science fiction and fantasy, but for the most part, this is the general idea of what LitRPGs are. And honestly, I love the sound of this genre. I love to play video games, particularly RPGs. I grew up playing them and I always find myself gravitating back towards this style of game. And LitRPGs just seem right up my alley. And that isn't to say that this genre isn't for you if you're not an avid video gamer. From what I've seen, even if you've never turned a console on before, it won't hinder your understanding or your enjoyment of this subgenre. Because at least with these 3 recommendations that I have for you today, the genre itself seems quite lighthearted and really based around pure fun. And prior knowledge of video games and RPGs isn't exactly necessary for you to understand or enjoy it. It's just something a little bit different inside the books that typical fantasy novels don't have. So I've done a little bit of digging and I found 3 recommendations for you if you found that LitRPGs is something that you want to have a go at. Now I have read none of these recommendations myself outside of that tiny extract from Dungeon Crawler Carl, but that is my first recommendation. Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Denningham is by most accounts the cream of the crop when it comes to LitRPGs. There are currently 6 books out at the moment and it follows the story of Carl and his ex-girlfriend's cat, Princess Donut, when aliens arrive on Earth and the apocalypse begins, and every single house and building is crushed. They are thrust into a satirical and sarcastic reality TV show that is projected to all corners of the universe. You follow Carl and Princess Donut as they make their way through this labyrinth, killing monsters, bosses, collecting loot, and leveling up. And to me, this seems like the most logical place to start, and for nothing else, the premise just sounds hilarious to me. The next series I have for you is He Who Fights Monsters by Travis DeVerel, which has 10 books in the series. It follows Jason, an office supply middle manager who wakes up to find himself in a mysterious world of magic. Calmastus is the planet and it is filled with different races and different monsters that can wield magic from a complex system. Jason will face off against monsters, cannibals, wizards, and monsters. His natural instinct is to become the hero of the story, but it becomes a little bit tricky when he starts to unlock his suspiciously evil powers. And my final recommendation for you is Defiance of the Fall by J.F. Brink. And the 12th book in this series is about to drop this year. And it follows the story of Zach, who was alone in the forest when the whole world began to change. The whole planet was introduced to a multiverse by an unfeeling system. It's a universe where an endless number of races and civilizations fight for power and dominion. Zack finds himself stuck in the wilderness, surrounded by monsters, demons, deadly beasts, and much worse. Alone, lost, and looking for answers, he has to find means to survive, get stronger so that he can survive this brand new world that he finds himself in. With only a hatchet for a weapon, he has to find his family and survive before the whole world collapses around him. Lit RPGs may not be for you. you. But after doing some research, I do think it is definitely something that you should try. They all seem like so much fun and very, very addictive. Let me know if you read LitRPGs yourself and if there are particular ones that you'd like to recommend, or if I've absolutely nailed it with my 3. Otherwise, let me know if you check it out. Happy reading, and I'll catch you in the next one.